Imagine walking out your front door, never being seen again. No note, no clues, no body, just silence. In some cases, the missing person was literally just steps away from others. Yet in every case, it's like the earth swallowed them whole. That's exactly what happened to these 10 ordinary individuals who vanished into thin air, leaving behind stunned families, panicked investigators, and questions that still haunt us today. These aren't Hollywood stories. These are real disappearances, some from bustling cities, others from quiet backroads. Let's start with 2 of the most chilling vanishings that defy all logic. After celebrating the end of the spring semester with friends, Brandon was driving home to Marshall, Minnesota, a route he'd done before. He called his parents and asked them to pick him up. As they talked on the phone, Brandon said he'd walk toward a nearby town and told his dad to meet him there. The call lasted 47 minutes. At one point, Brandon suddenly said, "Oh, S. Ow!" and the line went dead. But around midnight, he accidentally drove his car into a ditch. #10, Brandon Swanson. The vanishing phone call Brandon. Swanson was just 19 years old when he disappeared in the middle of a phone call with his father. It was May 14, 2008. He wasn't hurt. George and Jenny escaped with 4 of their 10 children. The other 5, gone. But what's strange is that no remains were ever found in the burned ruins. That was the last time anyone ever heard from him. By the time the fire was out, it had burned down completely. The Sodders assumed their children had died in the blazon till they realized something was off. But it still leaves one burning question. How can someone disappear while on the phone? With a full search party nearby and never be found? But to this day, not a single trace of Brandon Swanson has been found, not even a shoe. A woman in St. Louis said one of the Sodder girls was in a convent. Another claimed the children were living in Florida. George and Jenny erected a billboard on Route 16 offering a reward and pleading for information. That billboard stayed up for 40 years. Family even received a photo in the mail decades later of a man who resembled their missing son with the cryptic message. Louis Sodder. Was the mafia involved? Or did the children really die in the fire, and every clue after was just coincidence? I love Brother Frankie. Ill boys. A 90132 or 35. Police found his car near the small town of Taunton, far from where he said he was. There were no signs of foul play. No dropped phone. No footprints. Nothing. Just an empty field and a trail that leads to nowhere. Hundreds of volunteers searched the area with dogs, drones, and divers. His case sparked a movement in Minnesota to improve how missing persons cases are handled, especially for young adults. Number 9, the Sodder children. Vanished in a house fire. Or did they? This one is straight out of a mystery novel, except it's all too real. On Christmas Eve 1945, George and Jenny Sodder's house in Fayetteville, West Virginia, caught fire. Firefighters couldn't get to the house in time. First, the phone lines had been cut deliberately. Second, a strange man had been spotted stealing block-and-tackle equipment from the Sodders' garage days before the fire. Third, a woman claimed to have seen the missing children watching from a car during the blaze. Then came the letters. The FBI got involved. So did private investigators. But nothing solid ever turned up. Was it a kidnapping staged to look like an accident? No one knows. The case has never been closed. And it remains one of the most confounding mysteries in American history. #8 Maura Murray, the college student who disappeared into the woods. February 9th, 2004, started off like any other day. But by nightfall. 21-year-old Maura Maria, nursing student from UMass. Amherst had disappeared without a trace on a remote stretch of road in New Hampshire. Earlier that day, Mara sent emails to her professors saying she had a family emergency and would be away for a week. But there was no emergency. She packed her car with clothes, toiletries, school books, and printed out directions to Burlington, Vermont. That was a lie. There was no record of any call. Just an open bottle of wine, a box of Franzia, and the smashed car. Her cell phone and bank cards were never used again. Around 7:27 p.m., Maura crashed her black Saturn into a snowbank along Route 112. A bus driver passing by stopped to help. Maura insisted she had already called AA. Minutes later, when police arrived, she was gone. Even more eerie, in the days before she vanished, Maura had looked up directions to lodging in Vermont and how to dispose of a body. There were no footprints leading into the woods. No blood, No signs of struggle. Strangely, a rag was found stuffed into her tailpipe, a bizarre detail no one could explain. The theories exploded online. Did she run away to start a new life? Forums, documentaries, Reddit, threads, everyone has a theory. But no one has an answer. He was seen boarding. The train arrived in Paris, but Louis was gone. Was she picked up by a stranger? His luggage never arrived. His body was never found. It was as if he'd vanished between two cities with no stop in between. But tragically, Adolphe was found dead under mysterious circumstances just 2 years later, shot in the head during a hunting trip, and vanished. Or did something far more sinister happen in those cold New Hampshire woods? He was set to demonstrate his invention in New York and patent it, but he never made it. But the man in the photo was never identified, and no further investigation followed. To this day, the disappearance of Maura Murray is one of the most heavily discussed missing person cases on the internet. #7 Louis Le Prince, the man who filmed the first movie. In the most literal sense, Louis Le Prince became a ghost of the very medium he invented. Long before Thomas Edison became known as the father of film, a Frenchman named Louis Le Prince had already filmed the world's first moving picture, a short clip of people walking in a garden in 1888. In September 1890, Louis boarded a train from Dijon to Paris. No one saw him get off the train. His family was devastated. His son Adolphe took up his father's cause, trying to prove that Louis had invented motion pictures before Edison. Edison, meanwhile, was awarded the patent and became the global face of early cinema. Theories about Louis's disappearance range from assassination by industrial rivals to voluntary disappearance, or even a government cover-up to secure American rights to the film industry. And here's the strangest part. Over 100 years later, an unidentified photo of a drowned man surfaced in French police archives, bearing a shocking resemblance to Louis Le Prince. How can the man who created cinema just disappear? #6 Lars Mittank. The tourist who ran into the forest and never came out? Lars Mittank was a healthy 28-year-old German man on vacation in Varna, Bulgaria with friends. They enjoyed the beach, partied at night, nothing unusual. Things took a dark turn after Lars got into a minor argument with some soccer fans at a bar. He injured his ear and was prescribed antibiotics. His friends returned to Germany, but Lars stayed behind to recover. That was the last time anyone saw the normal version of him. Over the next few days, Lars's behavior grew increasingly erratic. He sent frantic texts to his mom saying, "I don't feel safe. Nothing. Who are these people? Don't trust anyone." But the fact remains. One moment he was there running on camera and, the next, gone forever. He believed he was being followed, though no evidence of that was ever found. On July 8, 2014, Lars was captured on CCTV at Varna Airport. He appeared calm at first, but suddenly, without any warning, he sprinted out of the terminal, leaving his bags, passport, and even his phone behind. He ran into the surrounding forest and vanished. His final moments, his paranoia, his frantic escape are all available for the world to watch. It's like watching someone disappear in real time. The house was thoroughly searched. Hundreds of tips poured in. Psychics were consulted. Even a concrete parking garage was excavated years later based on a psychic vision. Nothing ever came of it. Despite extensive searches, Lars was never found. It's not a single confirmed sighting. It's no body. What makes this case so haunting is that everything was caught on video. Others hint at a cover-up involving someone close to the victims. But here's the kicker. 3 people disappeared from a single home in the middle of the night without a trace. It's not just unlikely, it's practically impossible. Theories include a psychotic break, a drug reaction, secret intelligence involvement, or even being targeted by criminals. High school graduates Suzanne Susie Streeter and Stacy McCall had just finished their big night. After partying with friends, they planned to crash at Susie's house. Susie's mom, Cheryl Levitt, a 47-year-old hairdresser, was home waiting. #5, the Springfield 3. 3 women, 1 house. No clues. Purses and keys were in the house. The TV was left on. Even the family dog was there, restless but unharmed. June 7, 1992, was supposed to be a day of celebration. By morning, All three women had vanished from the house. There were no signs of forced entry, no struggle, no blood. Their cars were still in the driveway. The only clue? A broken porch light globe and a strange message on the answering machine that was accidentally erased by someone before police could review it. The investigation became one of the most baffling missing persons cases in U.S. history. To this day, the whereabouts of the Springfield Three remain unknown. Some theories suggest abduction by a stranger, yet it happened in a quiet Missouri suburb, and the silence has lasted for over 30 years. Number 4. Amelia Earhart, the queen of the skies who disappeared mid-flight. She was a global icon. Amelia Earhart, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, a pioneer, a feminist hero, and a fearless adventurer. But in July 1937, during her attempt to become the first woman to circumnavigate the globe by plane, despite having advanced radio equipment for the time, Earhart's communications grew increasingly panicked as she reported low fuel and difficulty finding the island, then silence. Earhart vanished over the Pacific Ocean, along with her navigator Fred Noonan. Their last known location was somewhere near Howland Island, a tiny speck in the vast blue. The U.S. government launched the largest air and sea search in history. Nothing was found. Not the plane, not the bodies, not even debris. Over the decades, countless theories have emerged. The woman who ruled the skies vanished into them, leaving behind only questions, crashed and sank into the Pacific, never to be recovered. Though originally dismissed, modern analysis suggests the skeleton could have matched Earhart's frame. Nearby, remnants of a woman's shoe, navigation tools, and aircraft parts were also found. Still, no conclusive DNA evidence has ever confirmed it. Captured by the Japanese as spies and executed on Saipan. He didn't use his credit cards. He never checked back into school or contacted anyone. Others believe he staged his own disappearance to escape grief. His mother had died just weeks earlier. But again, no evidence supports any theory. But the IP address was traced to a public prank site. It wasn't Brian. It was as if he simply disappeared off the face of the earth. From inside a public bar, survived and lived under an alias on a remote island. One of the most compelling clues came in 1940, when bones were discovered on Nikamororo Island, part of modern-day Kiribati. To this day, Amelia's disappearance is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in aviation history. But for Brian Schaefer, a 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University, it was no joke. It was the night he vanished without a trace from the ugly Tuna Saluna bar in Columbus, Ohio. Number 3. Brian Schaefer, the man who walked into a bar, never walked out. It sounds like the start of a bad joke. A guy walks into a bar and that's it. Surveillance footage showed him laughing, having fun, and then walking toward a back exit near a construction zone. But here's the twist. There was no footage of him ever coming back out. On April 1st, 2006, Brian went out for drinks to celebrate spring break. Security cameras covered every possible entrance and exit. His friends assumed he left on his own. But no one ever saw him again. His wallet, keys, and phone were never recovered. Some theorized he fell through a construction hole and was accidentally buried. Even more chilling, his father died in 2008. And someone posted a creepy message online saying, "Dad, I love you. I'm alive." To this day, despite high-resolution footage, multiple witnesses, and massive media coverage, Brian Schaefer remains one of the most inexplicable missing persons cases of the 21st century. Number 2, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, 239 people, vanished in the sky. This ISNT, just one person, vanishing it, S239. People disappearing in a modern jetliner equipped with GPS, radar, transponders, and radio. And yet, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 became one of the greatest aviation mysteries of all time. On March 8, 2014, the Boeing 777 took off from Kuala Lumpur en route to Beijing. Everything was normal. Then, somewhere over the South China Sea, the plane made an abrupt turn west. It went off radar. The transponder was disabled, kept flying for 7 more hours, then nothing. But the main fuselage, black box, and all passengers remain unrecovered. No mayday, no distress call, just ... gone. Massive search operations ensued, involving over 26 countries. Some debris eventually washed ashore on distant islands. And the questions? Endless. Was it a hijacking? But no concrete evidence confirms this. Did the pilot intentionally crash the plane? How does a massive aircraft avoid the world's most advanced radar systems? Was it remote sabotage? Or a catastrophic mechanical failure no one could foresee? In December 1900, a supply ship arrived at the Flannan Isles lighthouse, bringing food and relief crew. But what they found chilled them to the bone. One theory suggests the pilot Zahari Ahmad Shah diverted the plane in a deliberate act, depressurized the cabin, and let the plane glide into the ocean. The logs showed strange entries in the days before. Violent storms, one keeper crying, another praying. But on the day they vanished, the weather was calm. Some radar data shows the plane made bizarre maneuvers, even flying back over Malaysia, unnoticed for hours. And perhaps the most chilling part, this happened in 2014. In an age of satellites, smartphones, and 24/7 surveillance, and still 239 souls vanished without a trace. Number 1, the Flannan Isles lighthouse keepers. A locked door, an empty island inside. Meals sat untouched on the table. A chair was overturned. The clock had stopped, but most disturbing, all 3 keepers were gone. The final mystery takes us to the wind-swept cliffs of Scotland, where a lonely lighthouse once stood guard over dangerous seas. The story inspired poems, songs, and movies. But the core remains unsolved. 3 men disappeared from an island with no way off. The door was locked from the inside, and the storm, it never came. The lighthouse was silent. The gate was locked. No signs of a struggle, no footprints leading away. One coat was missing, the others were hung neatly. It's as if they left, expecting to come back. And in a blink, they were gone. Theories have swirled for over a century, swept away by a freak wave while securing equipment. If the Earth can swallow up an entire plane, a lighthouse crew, or a young college student walking to class, then what else can it do? Killed by one another in a cabin fever breakdown? Abducted by something or someone unknown? The legend has only grown. To this day, the mystery of the Flannan Isles stands as one of the most haunting disappearances in recorded history. And that's our list. But here's the chilling truth. These people weren't living in fairy tales. They were like you and me, boarding planes, driving home, celebrating graduation, working the night shift. No body, no clue, no goodbye. It's terrifying, not because it's supernatural, but because it's possible. If you found this video fascinating, hit that like button, subscribe for more Joe-dropping top 10s, and let us know in the comments. Which case creeped you out the most? And do you have a theory? Because sometimes, the scariest stories are the ones that are true.